want to say welcome back to our day 16. Hard to believe we are moving into week number 4. And there is Cheryl, one of our stalwart folks. It's been interesting to get emails, actually. People are starting to now dip into the recordings. And as we're into this process, I'm starting to be able to say, okay, I can actually let people know. I can spend my time more on marketing and outreach than creating a process as we go. So welcome back. It's Friday. Friday means we're going to get a bit of work done today. And it is day 16 of the sprint. We're stepping into learning by doing, which is really apropos in terms of getting things done on a Friday morning. It's also day 22 of the guide, which is styles. So I had encouraged you to think about, what do you look like? And this was the original graphic that inspired the whole journey this summer down my pathway of the hybrid work styles quiz. So this week, we've really been looking at clarity. We've been looking at time management, personal brand, motivation, teams and focus, and today's styles. And with our styles, it's really important that we consider what helps us thrive. So just a reminder, it is the end of official week 3, beginning of week 4. At the end of today's call, I've got some questions for you to think about, but make sure that you're completing your pages as you go. It's great to see Oana with us. We've had a good journey this last week, Oana. So we're in day 22. And as I invited you earlier this week, pick up the quiz. I hope everyone's had a chance to do it. If you've done it, let us know what your style is. Tiff, what were you? What style were you?
I was visionary.
Visionary for Tiff. Cheryl, you were a builder. I remember you saying that you were a builder.
I'm a builder.
You're a builder as well. All right. And
absolutely.
Builder as well.
Oh dear.
Isn't that interesting? I, have a builder affinity, and I think I'm very much an innovative explorer. So do check out the hybrid work style quiz. There's the link if you want to take the quiz yourself, and hopefully you enjoyed the download. So there's 5 different types. And as we move into the months of November and December, I'll be starting some regular hybrid work style quiz webinars. I want to go deeper into these areas because there's a lot of layers in this. Now, it's no surprise in a 90-day sprint, right? Most people will do a 5-day sprint. Some people will do a 10-day sprint, but all of you as builders, no wonder you're here for a 90-day sprint, right? I think that says a lot. And, we need the visionary. We do need the connector. I just want to spend just a very few minutes today, because today is Friday, getting things done day. But the builder really is the person who is always there to check things off. You probably thrive with your to-do list. You probably thrive. You probably thrive when you can chunk things down. So because you're all builders, just would love to spend a moment hearing from you. What makes you connect with this even the notion of perhaps being seen as a builder by others, whether they look at you as an entrepreneur or whether they look at you as a fellow team member? So what connects you with this notion of builder? Cheryl, I know you did this quiz earlier this week.
Yeah. I also input my my input into your LinkedIn poll as well, and I saw builders were very much overrepresented so far. But anyway, yeah. What connects with me is my 40 years of being in international HR. I was brought in to build HR functions and to increase capacity. So I was the girl that got her done, so there was a lot of recognition, monetary compensation for doing that type of work. And I do love taking nothing and building it into something and then leaving it in the hands of a competent team and moving on to the next challenge.
Yeah, and I so appreciate what you've just shared. That is me, probably more in the first part of my career than anything, right? I was having new teams every 3 to 36 months. And my role, just like you said, was to build it, empower others to take it over and move on. And so there's a really key role, I think, as the world opens up as well, right? For people who are builders to really take the lead, get into that, uninhibited action sometimes, which, many builders are not afraid to fail. And that's a great thing. because in a workplace where it's going to feel different, look different as the world reopens, we need people who are fearless in terms of taking action and seeing what that next pathway is. Marty or Samina, any other comments that you'd like to make before we move on to one of the other styles today?
Well, I came off as a builder, but I'm not, but I haven't actually taken the role that you were just talking about so much. But I do in my community, in the team that I work with in the community where I live. My friend is always saying, Marty, you're always there. You're always bringing stuff up. You're always getting after us. It's so great. So I think that's the way that shows. But it's interesting because in terms of innovating and going into a job to build it, I haven't done that much in my life.
Yeah, well, it can be a secondary, right? We sort of touched on this a
Yeah.
little bit earlier in the week. You know, you might be a builder, innovative, explorer, or experimenter. You know, this is not an exact anything. It's
Yeah,
just,
but I'd love to go deeper into it. Yeah.
well, join me this fall, right? I'll be keeping you posted. So I'm going to
Good.
just, Samina, anything else you wanted to say before we move on? You're good.
I think very similar to what Cheryl was saying, and what you said in the beginning, chunking it down, checking off lists,
Yeah.
organized, planned, dependable. I've heard that, people commenting that, I mean, once you've said you'll do something, it's a dependability, and then focus, getting, from beginning to end, following through on a project or a task.
Absolutely. I'm going to go through these really quickly because for those of you that like to get things done, with the 21 minutes today being getting things done, I don't want to stand in the way, but I'll just spotlight some of these. The culture wizard, like the speech bubble, often is a person on the team who's really thinking about who are we and how do we show up. They may be the coach of the team. They may be the social, not necessarily the social coordinator, because there is a connector role as well. And the connector often is on the team. I don't think they're coming up next, but the connector is on the team to help connect people and resources. But that culture wizard is often the one thinking about who are we and how do we want to be seen. So it's a really key role as well in the hybrid workspace, especially whether we're remote or we're hybrid. How do we have a sense of connection and belonging in terms of how our culture plays out? And that, of course, is our mottos, our mantras, our values, our vision. And so great teams do need to have a culture wizard on board, right? If you don't have that element, you may have a team of people who are all like the builders, right? And it's all about getting things done. But over time, the getting things done may start to lead to a very diffuse sense of connection and belonging and identity of who we are. So I'm going to be looking forward to seeing, with the culture wizards, how many are showing up in the quiz. Likewise, the innovative experimenter. I think one of the areas that has shifted a little bit in the pandemic, and this is very anecdotal, so definitely up for debate or dialogue around this, but I think some people have used the pandemic to take a little bit of risk. Right? It's like the world changed, and there wasn't really a choice for many, in many instances, other than to react. And you could innovate, you could try to go down the same pathway. So I think a lot of people are perhaps a little bit more comfortable experimenting with that notion of I'm going to try something out and see what happens, whether they have to or whether they want to. And that's, of course, a different driver, as we talked about earlier this week. The innovative experimenter is usually the one who's leading the charge. They're up there with the builder, right? And the innovative experimenter might be the one out front going, I'm going to try it out and see what happens. And then the builder can be alongside or even just one step behind to sort of create the mass movement. And so innovative experimenter, I think, is quite an important role. Again, looking at if there's going to be continued change on the horizon, this is the person who's probably very comfortable with it and comfortable navigating through it. So that leads us to number 4, which is the connector. And the connector, of course, like the red, originally this was a heart, but then I changed the icon to a puzzle piece. The connector is often the person who is looking at how do we all fit together? How do we leverage resources and the tools and the things we need to do our best work? So connection, as you've heard me speak in this last couple of years, is on multiple layers. It's not just about connecting people, but it's connecting people with mission. It's connecting people with vision. It's connecting people with resources. So on any given team, hopefully there are some connectors as well, because this is a really critical skill to almost just like the culture wizard is more like an orchestrator, the connector is more like a glue, right? Helping people really get that sticky factor with each other, which in a hybrid workspace is really important. Again, do we have an affinity for each other? Do we know who we are? Do we understand how those puzzle pieces fit together? And there may be a piece around emotion. Unlike the builder, you know, many of you, I think, yes, you've got an emotion side, but you're probably driven more by the doing rather than the being. And like in coaching, the connector, I think, to me, is sometimes more the being layer of things. And then finally, we've got the visionary. So we've got Tiff online, who is the visionary. And like this, it could be the marker, right? The visionary is often working either to set a vision or working with others to create a vision. And notice that in this moment in time, in 2021, as we're coming, or, you know, I don't think we're necessarily coming out of the pandemic by any respects, but workplaces are reopening with different reasoning behind it. And so as that transition happens, are we taking this as an opportunity to build from the grassroots up your vision? And that's really like a community-led, employee-led vision. Some employers are going back to, like, you know, there's some interesting pieces online if you read this week of like employers saying, okay, we're going back to work. And for months they've been saying, we really want to give you that opportunity. And as people step back into the workplace, it's like, this is the way we're going to do it. And so there's a bit of a pushback saying, wait, I thought you said that we were going to have a little something different and not this command and control. So visionary, anything, Tiff, you're the voice of the visionary on the call. Anything you want to share?
I think it's just fun to hold a vision because you get to be creative and innovative. And so I just think there's just so much possibility out there, and that's why I'm excited. That's why I love going on this 90-day guides, because it's really helping me see the bigger picture and how I can help people.
And like the visionary gets excited by, right? It's not just about immediate results, right? The builder is all about immediate results, but the visionary is about that long horizon view. And so notice with any of these 5 styles, there really is a different time orientation on a team. So I hope that you enjoy this. I'll be talking a lot more about this. Again, I'll be doing regular, and regular in that instance might be once a month, sort of hybrid work style webinars, sort of like an hour with more depth around this. And I'll send out a note to anyone who's taken the quiz to join me, because I think there's some really interesting framing on this. So any comments? Oana, great to see you again. Don't want to put you on the spot. Have you had a chance to do the quiz yet?
No, I didn't, but listening to you and seeing that I have on my desk a lot of post-its with to-do list, I think I'm a builder.
You think I'm a builder? Well, this is something I'm going to really start tracking, you know, and I have to say, in terms of doing a quiz, I was really inspired by one of my like far afield people that I look up to. So I love the writing and the work of Gretchen Rubin, who, you know, she's a best-selling author, but she also really does these very cool things. And about, I don't know how many years ago, at least probably 3 to 5 years ago, she created a whole line in her work called the 4 Tendencies, where she went really deep and actually had millions of people take a quiz of hers to look at how, like, what are people's, are they more of a questioner? Are they an obliger? You know, she has 4 different types. And so this idea has been rattling around in my brain for maybe 3 or 4 years. I was like, I wonder what it would be like to create a quiz. And so I'm sort of with a hopeful mind, maybe the visionary in me, hopeful that, you know what, this will go viral and we'll actually see like some major numbers around what people are doing and to stimulate that conversation. Again, this is like a quiz 1.0. So I've always said, you know, this is just a conversation sparker, which in our work as coaches, and many of us are team coaches, That's what we just want to do. We want to start the conversation. So I'm glad you enjoyed that. One thing is we talked yesterday about the Project Aristotle. So just to remember that. And I think there was one more. Yeah, we also talked this week about our colors and our styles. So with that, we don't have quite, we have about 15 minutes to do work today. As builders, I don't want to step in front of you in getting your work done. So would everyone like to just mute and put their camera on video off?
Mhm.
I will start the timer at about 14 minutes because I do want to leave you with some end of week questions. It is Friday and I do want to leave you with some end of week questions. So are we good if I start the timer? And we'll work from here and you can pull out your projects, whatever thing you want to get done by the end of the week. So enjoy. Timer will come up when I pull it up. Yeah, it's a Friday tech day. I'm just going to set my timer to go for another 14 and a half minutes. So enjoy. All right, it's almost that time. So I want to leave you with 3 questions for you to work on as you step into your weekend. This week was all about clarity. So I want you to reflect for yourself on what got clear for you this week. What got clear for you this week? My guess is you took some action on those top 3 elements that you set out on Monday. So I want you to go back and look at your list from Monday. How far did you get with what you had identified as your top goals? And then I'd like you to think about one of these topic areas. We looked at everything from, you know, our styles and motivation to some goal setting and planning and productivity. What's really important for you as you really narrow it down? Like, what is important for you as you step into the weekend, hopefully get some rest, and then step into next week? So next week is learning by doing. I'll present our 5-day roadmap on Monday as we get going. And I hope to see all of you. So any final comments as we go to wrap up our week? Cheryl.
Jennifer, I just want to acknowledge and congratulate you for the launch of your quiz. I know that it's something you've been working on, you've been talking about, and I think it really will be a conversation starter. One thing I am going to do at the beginning of the month, I send out a little email to my clients, past and present. In which I send them like a happiness calendar, but this November 1st, I'm going to be really promoting your quiz. I don't know if the LinkedIn poll will be still up, but I'm encouraging people to go to your LinkedIn page and fill out that poll. And just generally promote this idea, because I think the time has come and I think the market's ready to hear more about this elusive thing called hybrid work. So bravo, good for you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I hope, Cheryl, that it will serve you as a Reconnecting Workspaces coach, right? Like, this is LinkedIn. It's not in Reconnecting Workspaces or 90-day guide, but it is very much connected to. In fact, the quiz and an offshoot of the quiz might be a next book for 2022, depending on how much. So I've written part of it this July, which is why this is such a robust piece, because I spent about 3 days immersed in this this summer. So any other comments? And thank you very much for the acknowledgement, right? Like, we all at all stages of our business continue to grow and stretch. And yes, the time that, you know, there could be more tinkering to this, but it was time to let this one go and just get it out into the world. So open to all of your feedback. I know some of you have caught some little pieces, so I'm going to be working on fixing those over the weekend, but it's good enough to go. So with that, have a great week, everyone, weekend, and we'll see you Monday. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.